members that has been serving in our law enforcement for many, many years. And this is Lieutenant Milo Hooper of the Harrisburg Police Department. And I'm so grateful for his service, his sacrifice for many years. And if we can just take a moment and welcome Lieutenant Milo Hooper. He's just going to say a few words, and we have a little something to give to him as well. But brother, if you would, come up here and just share with us how you've been serving.
Good morning to everyone. Also, I want to thank the pastor and the church itself. Since March 6th of this year, as we know, we've been involved in a pandemic. And throughout that time, I've been working a lot, been going back and forth, and I'll get a little bit into that. And I live just south of here, so every time I go to work, I got to go north, which comes down Susquehanna Trail. And to see the flags for the first responders, that really means a lot. I mean, sometimes you're going to work or coming back from work after dealing with some difficult times and situations, and it's kind of encouraging. And I don't know if anyone really realized that, or if you just thought it was just something to do and just an act, but it actually means something. It meant something to me, and I know it means something to other people. So I just want to say thank you. Amen. So, Pastor reached out. He wanted me to speak about he asked me to speak about three things. One of the things was, what is it I do, a little bit about myself, how I serve the community. The second thing was, as you know, obviously I'm a police officer, what it's like to police in this pandemic during this COVID-19 time frame. And then the third thing was basically how to get the Christian family, the church, and everyone else to interact with the police, and also how to make the community safer. So I'm going to touch on each one of those things. First off, as you can tell, I am a police officer. I work for Harrisburg City. I work for the Harrisburg Borough Police. I've been with Harrisburg Borough Police for almost 25 years now. I started when I was 2, so I was the youngest officer ever. So, yeah, I was a little older, I think I was 10, 11, 12. So. But I've been with them for 25 years now. I am currently a lieutenant in charge of our special services. Special services is a branch within the department. Most of the people, when they think of the police, they look at the police, they think of what they see as the uniformed officer, kind of like what you see in the picture there with the uniform on. And that's what most people think of policing. And then you have the people that watch TV, and then they think of policing as that, plus the detectives. And the detectives are like the king of policing when you watch TV. So that's kind of what you see. There's another division or another branch of policing, at least in Harrisburg City, and most of your cities will have things like this. It's called specialty services. Specialty services deals with a lot of different things. And I kind of thought about what was the best way to explain it. And it's so complex that I was like, I'll just make it easier for you guys who watch TV and watch the movies and everything like that. Or military-wise. Specialty services would be similar to your special, in the military, what do they call it? Special forces, there we go. Special forces, that's kind of what special services is. They're the ones that go out, jump out on people. They're running around in regular cars. They're doing different things, doing things behind the scenes. They're the ones not running around, driving around in your marked units. So it's a very impactful unit, and it's a very, I guess my mom probably agrees, it's a dangerous unit. But as you know, when you're involved in something, you don't really think about those things. But I hear it from my mom every once in a while. My parents are sitting right here. So it's a hands-on unit. And now since March of this year, since the pandemic, one of the things that kind of went hand in hand with the pandemic was all of these protests and rallies. You see them on TV. You don't realize how many there actually are. The ones on TV, you'll see some of the long-term ones like Portland and stuff like that. But some of the other places like Harrisburg City, we have them constantly. And so when these things come up, it becomes my responsibility to put our unit together to get out there and be on the front lines of these things. So when you see these protests on TV, and you see everyone masked up and everything else, it's probably our unit. And so I bring that up because now I'll talk about like how policing was impacted for me in reference to COVID-19. So once March kicked in, because of all these protests and rallies and it's just nonstop, we were working nonstop. I think there was a stretch there for, I don't even know, my wife's over there, I really don't know, maybe a month where we had like 1 day off. You'll be off, get a phone call. Hey, Lieutenant Hooper, did you see this is coming up? Can you get your people together? I guess so. What am I saying? No. So we get our people together and we head out there. And we're out there. And sometimes it gets bad, and sometimes it's not. Sometimes it's a waiting game. One time we sat there for probably 5-6 hours and nothing happened. And then there's other times when you get out there and things are kicking off right away. Just to put it in perspective, we just had one. When was the last one we had? Saturday? Last Saturday, not yesterday. Last Saturday we had one. And so I find out Thursday. You know, I'm usually off Saturday, Sunday. Find out Thursday, you're going to have this thing on Saturday. So, like, okay. So we got to put it together and get out there and do what we have to do. So, even though, like, the COVID-19 portion of it, the pandemic portion of it, for everyone else, it kind of has more of an impact than it did the police per se. While everyone else is on shutdown, while everyone else is, you know, concerned about social distancing and I don't want to say concerned, but recognizing social distancing, the police, you can't do that. You can't just say, okay, well, you know what, we're in the middle of a pandemic, so I know you called and you need my help, but I tell you what, I'll talk to you later. Or I know there's a situation, I need to arrest you. I tell you what, here's the handcuffs, we'll stay 6 feet away, put these things on, and you know, we'll be like magnets, and as I walk, you walk, and no, you just can't do that, those things. So, even though it did have an impact, it was a little different. I think it more impacted our families than anything else. Because it's like anything else, like when you're involved in something, you're in the mix, you don't really think about that. You know, you just going along, do what you gotta do. That's what you're trained for. That's how you, like I said, you do what you have to do. But it's the ones that's sitting at home. It's kind of like how many people have driven in a snowstorm or in a bad storm, and you have a passenger in the car. The driver may be a little nervous, but they're cool. The passenger's like, I don't know what this person's doing. Like, I don't know, do they see this tree? Do they see the, you know, like, you're nervous the entire time. Not saying the driver's not nervous, but the driver's in control. So for us, it's more the family. It's more, are they going to bring this home? Are they going to get it? Are they asymptomatic? Do they not even know they have this disease or this? I guess it is a disease. It's a virus. I'm sorry. So those are some of the things that the family has to deal with. Have you been wearing your mask? Have this, and what do you say to them? Like, what can you say? Oh, well, you know, yeah, it was a nice day. You know, I dealt with so and so. I don't know if they have anything. I couldn't tell you. There's no way for the police to know that. So as the police, and I'm speaking for myself. I mean, everyone, you know, we're just like everyone else. Everyone has their own thoughts and processes things differently. But in general, for the police, like, we can't really focus on those things. It's kind of like the church here. You can't always focus on the negative. You have to have some faith. You have to be positive about some things and have a belief and trust in some things. And that's kind of what we do as the police. And that's how I have handled it over this time frame. So the main thing for this COVID-19 has actually been the unrest, the constant attack on policing, the constant attack on, it's not just policing, on authority. So I'll get into, I don't know what time I started, so I'll get into, the community. One of the things that I guess it's Matthew 5:9, blessed are the peacemakers. We get into, you hear that, and I mean, some people just kind of take it for granted, the peacemakers. You can't make a cake that's already made. You just can't. Like, the cake cannot be there. You can't make it until it's not there. If I had a cake sitting here, I can't make it. You can't be a peacemaker unless there's unrest. So when you hear that, you think about, what's peace and everything else, and blessed are the peacemakers. Don't think about it in the form of, oh, okay, well, they're here for when it's peaceful and times are peaceful. No, peacemakers come in time of conflict. When there's some type of aggression or anything, any type of conflict, that's where peacemakers come in. So if you think about that, and you start to look at the police as peacemakers, and it's biblical. I mean, if you want to look at that at a Christian standpoint, they're blessed individuals. So don't sit back and talk about the police in a negative way. And this isn't a political speech. This isn't get off my back speech, because it doesn't really matter to me. Like, you're mad at me, I'm the peacemaker. I'll come in and I'll make peace. So just let me know, and we'll talk later. But what I'm trying to say is, so when you see some of this stuff on TV, I know we transitioned from television earlier. I talked about television earlier. When you see some of these things on TV, whether it be what you see as wrongdoing, whether it is or whether it's not, everyone has to kind of take their own thought process. Don't automatically attack the establishment itself. Don't attack the police, because remember, blessed are the peacemakers. If you're in a position to do something like that and you don't do what you're supposed to do, so as a police officer, if you do something that's outside the scope of what you're supposed to do, you're not going to be blessed. I don't have to worry about you attacking me. God's going to attack me. So don't take it upon yourself to say, oh, well, I need to do this. Well, the police are this. No. So that's the first thing I would say. As a community, understand we are no different than anyone else. I don't know how many people in here actually know me, or how many people actually knew I was a police officer, but knowing I'm a police officer today, did that make me any different than who I was yesterday, before you knew I was a police officer? No, it doesn't. It doesn't change anything. So understand, we are people. We are people. The police, it's a job. Is it a job with a lot of authority? Absolutely. But it's still a job. And remember, we think, we process, we do things just like everyone else. We make mistakes just like everyone else. And one of the things about that is, in our lifestyle, meaning outside the police, in normal lifestyle, there's this thing called forgiveness. We're all quick to forgiveness. So when it comes to authority, we're not so quick to forgive. But I don't ever recall, and my dad's been speaking for years, and if I'm wrong, let me know, but I don't ever recall anywhere where it says you can forgive everyone but people in authority. If it's in the Bible, please let me know, because I don't know. It might be somewhere. It's not. So that's the first thing. You have to have a mindset, in my opinion, to be open to what's going on, to be open to differences, to be open to different ways of thoughts, different ways of handling things. Be open to saying, okay, it's the police, this may have went wrong, but that's that person. This may have went right, but that's that person. Kind of look at things differently. And once you start to do that, then you can really start to take advantage, or take, advantage of the situation, I guess. So now you have an open mind. Now you're looking at the broad spectrum of policing. Now you're looking at your own community, because remember, what are the police? The peacemakers. So when you're in your own communities and things are starting to go wrong or something happens, don't be afraid to call. How do you be safe? Look out for each other. And that's one of the things I say to the new officers, because that's one of the things I do is I train all the new officers. Every new officer that comes through Harrisburg, if you know any of them, they know me because I train them. So every last one of them, I say to them, when they come in as a class, I say, who are you responsible for? A lot of times they're like, oh, well, I'm responsible for myself. And I'll go down the line, who are you responsible for? And then I'm like, you're responsible for him and yourself. He's responsible. So we're all responsible for our own actions, and we're all responsible for each other. So as a community, we're responsible for our own communities. We're responsible for ourselves and our neighbors. Even those neighbors that that you don't even talk to. Those neighbors who are like, yeah, I don't know, I wish they would move out the neighborhood. I wish they would cut their grass. Or they cut their grass too much. But you're responsible for that individual. You don't know what's going on behind closed doors. You just don't know. So you're responsible for them. Look out for them. So if the police comes through, and remember, let me just step back. Peacemakers are still around in times of peace. They just don't have to make the peace. So there are good times. When you see the police, there's nothing wrong with saying hi. There's nothing wrong with stopping and talking about the Eagles game. Well, let's not talk about last week's game. We'll talk about this week's game in a couple hours. All I'm going to say is I see a guy with a Cowboys name on it. I don't know. They can't win the division if they was giving it to them. So, I'm sorry. Let me get back to making peace. NFC East, we're all family. I'm looking out for you right now. But no, obviously I just lost track of what I was saying. Either way, I'll kind of sum it up. Sum it up. See it? Sound right. Either way, when it comes to the community and when it comes to being safe, the main thing is to get to know your neighbors. In all honesty, get to know who they are. Doesn't mean you have to have dinner with them. Doesn't mean you have to go to the park with them or go to the movies, go to church with them. It means get to know them, meaning I at least recognize you, and I will at least acknowledge you. That's the main way of staying safe. And some of these communities, I'm sure we have people from every walk of life in here. And if you think about your communities, the safer the communities are, whether it's in a city environment, whether it's in a suburban environment, it doesn't matter. The safer the community is the communities where everyone knows each other. Everyone knows each other. So I know where I live, there's 65 homes. I pretty much know everybody. I don't know them, but if they were sitting here, I'd be like, oh yeah, I recognize you. But that's where that's how you're gonna stay safe. Safe doesn't mean that nothing's going on. Matter of fact, I'll end with this. I'll say this, and this is something I say to the officers as well. I'll say, can you give me when you think of peace, what do you picture? If you had to picture a peace, what would you picture? And this makes sense in a second. Sometimes the officers are like, I think of blue skies, I think of the beach, I think of this, I think of that. Think of so many different things. And the true answer for me, and this has always been the truth for me, when I think of peace, I picture the side of a mountain. And if you can picture a cliff, like a rocky cliff, and in that rocky cliff is just a little cutout. And in that cutout is a nest. And in that nest is a bird. And if you look outside of all that, there's this storm just brewing. I mean, it's like a strong storm. But in that nest is the bird sleeping. And that to me is peace, because that means no matter what's going on around you, you have peace within yourself. So no matter what's going on, whether it's in your community, whether it's in your home, whether it's at your church or wherever you find yourself, be at peace with yourself. Like, be at peace with yourself and be able to say, I lost track where I was going. Anyway, be at peace with yourself and Be able to just say, you know what, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what my neighbor just did. It doesn't matter that their dog just pooped in my yard. It doesn't, I mean, I don't like that. It doesn't matter if they didn't cut the grass. Or even worse situations. It doesn't matter if every day I come home and they're hanging out on the porch smoking and drinking. It doesn't matter, because you have to be at peace with yourself. And then once you're at peace with yourself and then you start to talk to your neighbors and your neighbors start to understand who you are, then they can also they'll start to emulate you. They'll start to try to be like you instead of you being like them, because you've become the example. And that's how you make your community safer. I could have stood up here and told you all these things, you know, put locks on the doors, put your lights on, and you know, the typical things you get at these community meetings when the police are talking. But for me, the peace is really within. The peace is not, you know, the neighborhood itself. The peace is your home itself. What's going on inside. So none of that should matter. Do what you need to do. If you need to reach out to the police, reach out to the police. Don't be afraid of the police. Don't believe the narrative. Like I said, it's all television. Most of that is TV. Peacemakers are here for a reason. I don't know if anyone has ever called the police. They're in the middle of a birthday party, about to cut the cake, and someone says, and they're having a good time singing happy birthday, they'll be like, oh, I better call the police. No. And no one's calling me to be like, hey, hey, what are you doing? Hey, can you come get a piece of cake? Yeah, I'll be right over. Like, no. So, you know, just don't be afraid to reach out to the police. And like I said, thank you for the signs. And if you really look at it, blessed are the peacemakers, you'll understand that, you know, we're a blessed crew. And if we choose not to do what's right, then believe me, it'll come down on us. It doesn't have to be your responsibility. All right, thank you.
We're much stronger together. Yeah, we're much stronger together, and we need everybody in the community. I'm going to speak about that here in a few minutes, but we need everybody in the community to band together, everybody in the church to band together. And so, while we do have something for you here, this is a daily devotional, and it's something to encourage you every day that you go to serve, and just the peace that God gives us from within, as you just so described. And so, just want to be blessing with that to you. And also, this is a new Bible, and it's an empty box, okay? And the reason why it's empty is because it's over there. I want to preach from it today. And I want that to be the Bible that you get from today's service, and that the whole theme of today is stronger together. And you are making our community much stronger, and as you continue to give us peace. And thank you again. Can we thank him once again?